So you want to own a home in Canada and you don't yet. Quite frankly, good luck. The country's got a housing crisis on its hands. Longtime political strategist and podcaster David Herle tells us what politicians need to do to address the housing crisis.
We got an email from Jessica to talk at ryanjesperson.com. She says, I grew up in Edmonton. I watched my mother struggle to work 3 jobs to make ends meet as a single mom. I'm now 30 years of age with a university degree, and any family plans are on hold as I refuse to subject a child to a less than stable life, the life that I had growing up. My fiance and I were slowly saving so that we could maybe have a down payment in 8 years. Affected by a recent layoff, that dream of a home to start our own family appears out of reach entirely. At the risk of sounding dramatic, what hope do my fiance and I have? There have been recent affordable housing projects announced in our city, but what protections are the city taking to ensure that developers aren't holding all the cards? It appears to be clear that we cannot depend on the goodwill of investors. As rent spirals out of control in all major Canadian cities, what protections are cities putting into place to support working families so they can live where they work and support the next generation of workers? That from Jessica, who I suspect is speaking for thousands, if not millions of people.
Right.
How is a politician to respond to something like that? If Jessica were to get Poilievre or Trudeau or Jagmeet Singh or another political leader in a one-on-one, a prolonged or extended handshake as part of a meet and greet, and were to deliver her message in 30 seconds, what would the politician say that you think might provide some meaning, some hope to her with substance?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it is, as she pointed out in her email, an extraordinarily complicated issue with a lot of moving parts. It's not like it's up to one entity that can fix this or control this. A lot of things have to be working together, so it's very complicated. Mr. Poilievre, if she talked to Mr. Poilievre, he would empathize with her problem, and then he would say he's going to get the gatekeepers out of the way, which he would describe probably as local municipal politicians. And he would say, I'm going to make their funding from the federal government for all municipal services dependent upon them building houses. And I'm going to have rules and targets, and I'm going to whip those cities and towns into shape so that they build. I don't know many people who think it's that simple. The problem is, people want it to be that simple. If you're looking for a house now, you don't want the answer Mr. Trudeau would give you, which is a long systemic discussion about how 3 levels of government have to work together with the private sector and get land in the right places and get tax incentives right and get this right and that right. That doesn't sound to you like you're going to get your home anytime soon, but that is the reality. You know, it is technically correct to say the roots of this housing problem have nothing to do with Trudeau or not much to do with Trudeau. But it's happened on his watch, and his watch has lasted for 8 years. So it's reasonable to say they should have seen this happening earlier and done something to move on it. It's also true that should have happened at the municipal and provincial levels as well. But we're talking about Trudeau right now. So, yeah, he's taking responsibility for things he doesn't necessarily control. But that's life in the big leagues. And one of the advantages he has over Poilievre is that he does have some levers he can control. He can do some things. Poilievre can only talk right now, but Trudeau has the ability to actually do something. And so that's a huge advantage. And we'll see what he does with that over the next 2 or 3 years.